License Appeals Board, Tuesday, October 6th, 6 p.m. Well, I'm just reading what it says here. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call, please.
Gary Cunningham.
Here.
Finn Long.
Here.
Doug Bryson.
Here.
Deanna Hinton.
Here.
Steve Griffiths is absent. Riley Hoagland.
Here.
And Bruce Robinson.
Here. Thank you. Under changes and revisions, we do have an addition, a recommendation on the natural hazards plan.
I would recommend that you add that as item 5.3.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Consider it done. On to the minutes. Request for approval. This is the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for September 15th, 2015.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public comments on non-agenda items or matters not involving a public hearing. Seeing none. So we're on to final orders, resolutions, and written communications. We have here the final order, 2015-07, file PUD 2015-02, final master plan tentative subdivision for a residential planned unit development on 6.73 acres on the east side of Southwest Coast Avenue, south side of Southwest Bard Road. The Olivia Beach Phase 3 PUD proposes 47 lots. All lots will be developed with detached single-family dwellings. The subject property is zoned multiple-family residential, RM, but was recently approved for rezoning to the vacation rental VR zone effective September 23rd this year. The applicant owner is Walker John, care of Olivia Beach, LLC. The tentative decision is for approval with conditions.
Excuse me, Chair, before you ask for a motion on that, after our city attorney reviewed it, he asked me to add to condition number 3 in Exhibit A, just the phrase, prior to the city signing the final plat. So that just puts a time constraint on when they will update their CCNRs. I spoke to Aaron Briggs about that this afternoon, and he seemed to be fine with that.
Okay. Commissioners, any comments on that? Okay. The Commission is about to vote on a final order for the final master plan and tentative subdivision for the Olivia Beach Phase 3 planned unit development. File number PUD 2015-07. The final order is a written record of the Commission's decision that followed its public hearing, deliberation, and tentative oral decision made on September 15th this year. Planning Commission's decision is to approve the request for the final master plan and tentative subdivision with conditions. The final order reports the findings of the Commission, explaining how the decision relates to the evaluation criteria. It includes the vote of each member and briefly states the basis for any minority vote. The vote on a final order is not meant to be a second vote on the subject of the hearing. If the final order accurately reflects the findings of the majority in the decision, Commissioners should approve the final order. Is there a motion to adopt Final Order 2015-07 for the decision on file PUD 2015-02 as amended?
I motion that we adopt it as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a roll call, please.
Okay. Hoagland.
Yes.
Bryson.
Aye.
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Long,
I say yes.
and Robinson.
Yes.
The motion carries.
A notice of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, property owners, and all others who participated in this hearing in person or in writing. This decision is appealable to the City Council. Right. The final recommendations, Transportation System Plan, an opportunity for public comment on the proposed 2015 Transportation System Plan. Really? What does that mean? We have an opportunity for public comment here.
That's, Mr. Chair, that was just copied from the last agenda, so that,
Okay.
yeah, the hearing was already held. I would just go from the script.
The Commission is about to vote on a final recommendation concerning adoption of Lincoln City Transportation System Plan, TSP. The TSP is a guide for Lincoln City to use in developing and maintaining its transportation network through the year 2035. I'll be 93 years old. The State of Oregon requires Lincoln City to have a TSP that is consistent with the statewide transportation system. This is a written record of the Commission's recommendation that followed its public hearing and deliberations held on September 15th, 2015. The Planning Commission's recommendation is for approval of the Transportation System Plan. If the final recommendation accurately reflects the findings of the majority, Commissioners should adopt final recommendation and direct that it be forwarded to the City Council. Any amendments?
No, there are not.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt final recommendation 2015-03 concerning adoption of the Transportation System Plan?
I move that we adopt the Transportation System Plan.
Second?
I second.
That would be a recommendation for the City Council to adopt.
I will restate that. I make a motion to recommend to City Council the adoption of the Transportation System Plan.
And I second the motion that the City Council should adopt TSP.
Thank you, Deborah. We have a roll call, please.
Hinton,
Yes.
Hoagland,
Yes.
Long,
Yay.
Bryson,
Yes.
Cunningham,
I say yes.
and Robinson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This recommendation and all other information in the record will be forwarded to the City Council, who will hold a public hearing on Monday, October 12th, 2015, at 6 p.m. We now have a final recommendation on the Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan. The Commission is about to vote on a final recommendation concerning adoption of the 2015 Lincoln County Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan and the Lincoln City addendum to the plan. FEMA requires communities to update their natural hazards mitigation plan every 5 years. This is a written record of the Commission's recommendation that followed its discussion and opportunity for public comment on September 15th, 2015. Planning Commission's recommendation is for approval of the plan and its addendum. If the final recommendation accurately reflects the findings of the majority, Commissioners should adopt the final recommendation and direct that it be forwarded to the City Council. Is there a motion to adopt final recommendation 2015-04 concerning adoption of the Lincoln City Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan and the Lincoln City addendum?
I'll make a motion to recommend to City Council to approve the National Hazards Mitigation Plan.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Call, please.
Hoagland,
Yes.
Bryson,
Abstain.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Hinton,
Yes.
and Robinson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Excuse me, Commissioner Bryson, you need to say why you're abstaining.
I wasn't in attendance at the December 15th meeting, so I'm not adequately informed.
Okay, just need to get that in the record.
Thank you.
It's now 6:10 p.m. The public hearing for file CPA and ZC 2015-04 is now open. This public hearing concerns a property owner-initiated proposal to rezone approximately 12 acres to the vacation rental VR zone. May I continue? Yes?
You didn't have to stop.
Oh, well, you were just waving at me like that.
No, I wasn't waving at you. I was waving
Oh,
at
okay,
you.
okay.
Wave at you.
Would you? Thank you. The request is to amend the comprehensive plan map and zoning map to rezone 103 tax lots, which are now zoned single-family residential, R15 and R17.5, to the comprehensive plan and zoning map designation of Vacation Rental District, VR. Properties are located generally west of Southwest Coast Avenue and east of Southwest Anchor Avenue between Southwest 24th and 28th Streets in the Nelscott neighborhood. Subject properties are primarily in the Olivia Beach Planned Unit Development Phases 1 and 2 and also includes 6 neighboring properties outside of the Olivia Beach Planned Unit Development. Planning Commission's role in this process is to consider any written or oral comments or testimony, as well as information from staff, and make a recommendation to City Council, who will hold an additional public hearing. City Council may adopt the Planning Commission recommendation, may adopt a different recommendation, or may take other action. Commission must take a few moments to cover some preliminary matters and required statements. Does any member of the Commission wish to declare an ex parte contact, conflict of interest, or bias in this matter? None. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge the qualifications of a commissioner to participate in this matter? None. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission to consider this matter? Following statements are required to be made at the commencement of the hearing pursuant to the City Code and ORS 197.763, parens 5. Staff will now read a list of the applicable substantive criteria for this decision.
The amendment must be found in conformance with the statewide planning goals, the comprehensive plan, and the applicable provisions of the zoning ordinance.
All testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed towards the applicable substantive criteria previously listed or such other criteria in the plan or land use regulations which the person believes applies to the decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the decision maker and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issues precludes appeal to LUBA, the Land Use Board of Appeals, on that issue. Failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues related to proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the decision maker to respond to the issues precludes any action for damages in circuit court. Prior to the end of this hearing, any person who participated may request a continuance to provide additional testimony, argument, or evidence, or request that the record be left open to submit additional written testimony, argument, or evidence. Before the staff presents a report, I would love to summarize the adopted public hearing procedures. A brochure outlining procedures is at the entrance of the council chambers. Generally, the order of proceedings will be as follows: preliminary matters and required statements. Staff report. Questions of staff. Applicant's presentation. Those in favor of the application. Those opposed. Rebuttal by applicant. Requests of continuances or to leave the record open. Close of the hearing. Close of the record. Requests to submit written argument, deliberations, and recommendation. The city has established some time limits. The applicant will have 15 minutes and may reserve up to 5 minutes of that time for rebuttal. After the applicant testifies, any person may speak for up to 3 minutes. If the Planning Commission has questions, your time responding to any questions will not be counted in your time limit. If you wish to speak, please write your name and mailing address clearly On the sign-up list at the entrance, please speak directly into the microphone and begin by stating your name. If you also have written testimony to submit into the record, please provide a copy to the recorder. Would you please present the brief staff report?
Yes, I will. This is an application to amend the comprehensive plan and to rezone 103 tax lots in the Olivia Beach area, outside or in Nelscott, and in about 12.05 acres. The map on the screen now has the lots that are subject to this application outlined in the bluish color, the light bluish color. You can see it takes in all of Olivia Beach phases 1 and 2, plus a few additional lots. I'm going to show you on this map. The Olivia Beach lots are shown in the pinkish color. Also, the green, which are the pink lots, are ones where the owners where there's a written consent from the owners. The 4 green lots at the time of the application, they had not received a consent to the rezone, although they have not opposed the rezone either. In addition, there are 6 lots that are outside of Olivia Beach proper. Those are shown in blue on here. But they're also part of the application in that they're contiguous with Olivia Beach development. Just to stimulate your mind a little bit, I guess, remind you of Olivia Beach. This is a development that was approved a number of years ago and is being built out. You recently approved this is phase 1 and 2. You recently approved a plan for phase 3. As I said, there's these 6 lots shown in blue. Looking first at over on the left side, the lot right here is this property. As shown here on Anchor Avenue. You can see Olivia Beach to the right, the remainder of the property that is adjacent to. Then looking at these 2 lots on the other side of Anchor Avenue, on the west side of Anchor Avenue, is this house on the left here. And at the time of this picture, the house on the right had not been built yet, but the house is in fact there. And the access to the Olivia Beach stairs to the beach runs between those 2 lots. Then turning to...
Excuse me, Richard, we'd back up to that picture
Sure.
again, please. That's not their parking lot right there, is it? On the right?
It's not a parking lot, it's a driveway
Thank you.
for the house.
I just was asking if the driveway or whatever parking occluded the walking access to the beach.
The walking access goes under this little trellis here, so it's coming in this way, and then you can see there's a different color pavement going to the stairs themselves.
Sorry for the interruption.
It's okay. Then this lot, actually at the bottom on the south side of Southwest 28th Street, I believe is currently vacant. These other 2 lots on Beach Avenue are these 2 houses across the street from Olivia Beach proper. This is looking down into Olivia Beach from Anchor Avenue, sort of the opposite from here. Looking down into Olivia Beach, and is on Coast Avenue, interior street within Olivia Beach, and you can see there's relatively narrow streets within the development. The park area, the Central Park area is on the left, and the housing surrounding it. Coast Avenue to the south of Olivia Beach proper. On the left side is where Olivia Beach Phase 3 will be built. On the right side is Olivia Beach Phases 1 and 2.
Sorry, Richard. Is Phase 3 already registered as a VRD area?
The commission and the city council approved rezoning the Phase 3 area to the VR zone.
Okay, thank you.
Earlier this year. Actually, you can see it on this map. The blue area with red polka dots up here is the Phase 3 area, zoned VR zone. The lots outlined in blue on here are the ones that are subject to the present application. The zoning is shown by the yellow is R175, which is 7,500 square foot minimum lot size, and the orange is 5,000 square foot minimum lot size, R15. The differences between the R1 zones, R15 and R175, and the VR zone, to say that in the R1 zone, single-family residence is allowed. It's a purely residential zone. VRDs are allowed as an accessory use, and a maximum of 5 bedrooms for a VRD, and you can only own one VRD in a residential zone. VR zone has the same uses, single-family residences. It's a mixed-use zone in that we allow vacation rentals as a full-time occupancy rather than as an accessory use. VRDs are allowed as a permitted use rather than accessory. No maximum number of bedrooms if they're built to commercial standards, and you can own more than one VRD in the zone. So, but as I said, the uses, with the exception of the VRDs being an outright use rather than an accessory use, the uses are identical in the two zones.
Richard, can you go back one slide real quick? Size and numbers, right?
I'm sorry?
No maximum number of bedrooms in a VR versus what had been an R1 zone.
Right.
I guess my question is, parking had already or always been considered one bedroom, one parking spot.
Right.
Is that also changed?
It's still one parking space per bedroom is a minimum parking.
So even if the number of bedrooms go up, the requirement.
If you had 7 bedrooms, you'd have to have 7 parking spaces.
And you did say that it was if built to commercial standards,
right.
The bedrooms could exceed 5.
Right. So the criteria for approving the rezone, as we stated earlier, was it has to be consistent with the comprehensive plan, the statewide planning goals, and with the locational criteria in the VR zone itself. The comprehensive, actually in the staff report, I go through the written staff report. I go through each of the comprehensive plan goals, each of the statewide planning goals, which I'm not going to do here in my oral report. You've got it. I was going to hit the highlights of them. With respect to the comprehensive plan, the housing goal, which is to provide for the housing needs of all citizens. The rezone will, in fact, convert some residentially zoned land to what amounts to a commercial use, which is full-time vacation rental. But the land still, all the land in the VR zone still is available for residential use. No one has to convert it to a commercial use. And in 2006, we did a buildable lands inventory, which found at the time that we had sufficient land zoned for residential use. Since that time, we've made some changes to the ordinance that have allowed additional residential development, principally allowing mixed use in all zones, including commercial zones, allowing accessory dwelling units, and allowing cottage clusters. Both of those last two, which would effectively double the allowed density on the lot where they would be used. So, if anything, we have more opportunities for residential development than we did in 2006 when we did the buildable lands inventory. The economy goal 7, is to support the tourist industry and achieve a degree of diversity in the community which will allow a balanced economy. The main thing is regarding that is that vacation rentals are important contributors to the city's tourist economy. Over the last several years, the people's patterns of how they take vacations have changed, and we're seeing increased demand for being able to have like the whole family or multiple people in one unit to be together. So by providing increased opportunities for that, it does support the economy goal.
Richard, did you say that that was the county goal?
I'm sorry?
From the county or the goal for the city?
City. If I said county, I meant city.
Okay.
In the comprehensive plan. The transportation goal in the city's comprehensive plan is to provide a safe, convenient, and rapid transportation network. The existing R1 zoning actually allows a lower density in Olivia Beach, because there's R175 for Olivia Beach, than the VR zone allows, because the VR zone allows a 5,000 square foot minimum lot size rather than a 7,500 square foot minimum lot size in the R175 zone. We'll point out, though, that this property has already been subdivided. It's largely built out, so for the foreseeable future, there would not be any increase in density in this.
That would come back to us if they wanted to change that, wouldn't it?
If it goes to the VR zone, there would be, you could have a 5,000 square foot lot, so I guess suppose they could re-subdivide or something like that, but as I say, it's already subdivided and largely built out already. Development does the center on Coast Avenue. We expect that much of the traffic does use Coast Avenue and will continue to, and in fact will probably tend to go down to 32nd Street when the new traffic light becomes operational. I believe that will happen by the end of this month. So expect to see traffic that way rather than through along Anchor Avenue to the north or along Bard Road. At least I would expect to see that reduced.
Will there be any signage directing people to 32nd, like to Highway 101, so south or north?
I don't know of any plans to do that. It's possible, and it may prove to be a desirable thing. I might want to see what happens when the light goes in, see whether that's whether it would be a good thing or not, or whether there's a need for it. Turning to the statewide planning goals, Goal 9 is economic development. And obviously, allowing mixed use in a residential, what is now a residential zone, would not have any effect on availability of commercial and industrial land, since the land we're talking about here is neither commercial nor industrial. It does, in fact, support the tourist industry, so that would tend to support the economy. Turning to housing, as I said, with respect to the city comprehensive plan, some property will convert to commercial use, but it will continue to be available for residential use if that's what the property owner wants to do. And as I said also before, we've had some changes to our ordinances so we can actually have probably increased housing opportunities now compared to what we were talking about 10 years ago. Goal 12, transportation. This rezoning relates to uses that are already allowed. In other words, we're not allowing additional uses that will generate additional traffic in general, because of they're already allowed to have vacation rentals there. They're already allowed to have single-family homes. Now, obviously, a VRD that is a full-time VRD rather than accessory use VRD is likely to generate some more traffic. There have not been sufficient traffic generation studies on vacation rentals to be able to say what that would be. The trip generation studies I've seen are with respect to a vacation rental within like a destination resort, like at Sun River or Black Butte Ranch or something like that, where people go in and don't come out, basically, or spend most of their time within the development. So they don't really tell what happens when it's not in a destination resort, but whether they go out through the community. So I can't say how much additional traffic there might be, but I don't feel like it will be very significant. There will be additional traffic, but I don't think it will be an overwhelming amount of traffic as a vacation rental versus a single-family home. Typically, a single-family home generates 10 vehicle trips per day, either in or out. And that's, people leaving and coming back. It's the garbage truck coming. It's UPS coming or whoever, visitors coming. And it averages out to about 10. If you have a very large VRD, you can have many more cars, but it's likely that a lot of people will tend to go double up in their cars if they're going on out, go to the beach or go to the store or something like that, rather than have all the cars go at once. The transportation network is in place. The roads are there, and they're not, at this point, not overwhelmed. They have sufficient capacity to handle traffic. Turning to the...
Richard, does that include Barb Road?
Does it include what? Bard Road? I have not heard of it being overwhelmed by traffic at this point, and as I said, I expect some of the traffic that probably uses Bard Road now will probably go to 32nd rather than Bard, and then over to 12th to get onto 101. It's an easier and straighter shot, and a lot of people don't like to ride on dirt roads if they have a paved road to get to where they're going. So. The VR zone itself has three sort of locational criteria relating to a vacation rental zone. One is for proximity to attractions and recreational uses, and this is Olivia Beach is near the Agnes Creek open space and its trail network via a trail that will be built in the Olivia Beach Phase 3. It also has its own beach access, which is open to the public, but it is built for Olivia Beach. It's a pool and that central green and park area. So it have recreational uses there, and obviously it's got the beach itself is there. You can see here the beach access stairs on the left, and actually if you look in that left picture, you can see the second house at the extreme left has been built when this picture was taken. You've got the central green in the upper right, lower right is the pool, and lower left is the existing access into the Agnes Creek Open Space Trail Network from Olivia Beach Phase 3, the former Hunters Highland subdivision there. The second criterion is that there must be sufficient public facilities and services. It's fully served by city sewer, city water. The roads are narrow but adequate. Again, as I'll explain it, particularly with the new light going in at 32nd. And finally, it must be a discrete geographic area or transition between residential and commercial area. This is about 12 acres, a little bit over 12 acres. Topography and open space generally separated from other R1 areas. And so what we're asking you to do tonight, and I don't know why this came up this way, is to take testimony, do your deliberation, and then decide on a recommendation to be made to the City Council. And that concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Richard. Are there any questions?
Richard, quick question. On the 6 units that were outside of the PUD, are all 6 of those people desiring to be part of this?
Yes, that's why they're included.
Okay.
I have a question for you, which is, I don't know if you can go back to your map, but I'm just curious about, there's quite a few stairs in that one picture between the houses and the beach. So I'm assuming, but I need to ask you, where is the tsunami zone in relation to this development?
Little or none of it is in the tsunami zone because of that you saw that picture actually.
Stairs.
Yeah, some very.
Yeah, a lot of stairs.
So, I don't know if I think at the extreme southern end, it may be a bit of it may be in the tsunami zone. I don't recall, but that would be coming up actually through Nelscott and then up and then spreading to the north is how it would be, because there's that bluff lowers as you get further south into Nelscott proper. So there would be room for it to come around and come in.
Further questions?
Is there any part of the proposed VRD zone that could be later, at a later date? Is it within a certain amount of feet of a commercial zone or anything like that?
Sorry, say that again?
I'm thinking how when we had that removal of the PUD in the north end of town, how part of it was within a certain number of feet with a commercial zone. Mm-hmm. Could something like that be applied to this area to where they could have commercially zoned, or is it, if it goes to VRD or VR zone?
VR zone, right.
They can automatically build commercially, or does it have to be within a certain number of feet?
No, the VR zone, if it's in the VR zone, you could build to commercial standards, build a vacation rental dwelling to commercial standards. It's not any other commercial use, just a vacation rental to commercial standards.
Okay.
The uses that are allowed, again, in the VR zone are exactly the same as in the R1 zone, with the exception of, instead of being an accessory use, a vacation rental dwelling is a permitted use.
Further questions? Thank you, Richard. Now we would take the applicant's presentation, please.
Want me to leave the lights down?
What?
No, right. Good evening. I'm Erica Yagzau, and I'm the applicant on behalf of myself and 102 other lot owners, which largely make up Olivia Beach Phase 1 and Phase 2. I prepared some comments, which I had emailed to Kate Dashell. Kate, I have made a few amendments while I've been sitting here taking notes, so if I could email you an updated version to be part of the record, that would be marvellous. First of all, I want to thank the Commission for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today about the application. I also want to say, I attended the planning workshop and open house last Friday and Saturday, and I really appreciate how much foresight the Commission and Council are showing, creating such an ambitious medium to long-term plan to preserve the best of Lincoln City while preserving services and livability for full-time and part-time resident and tourists. We are planning to retire here, so it's in my best interest to make sure that it stays as great as it is now. Already we're seeing a massive improvement just since we bought our house in 2011 along 101 with all the new lights at 32nd, the new sidewalks, the new beachy plantings enhancing the Nelscott area. There's just been a lot of wonderful changes in the past 10 years in the city in general, with wider streets, new sidewalks, ample parking, good lighting. There's a ton of fantastic resources here, things like the Culinary Centre teaching all about Oregon food and wine, and the Outlet Mall with some serious bargain hunting, and wonderful restaurants. Oregon's definitely gaining a wider reputation. I have friends, and I'm from New Zealand, obviously, hence the accent, and I have a lot of friends who have heard of Oregon and New Zealand. So our reputation is spreading, and Lincoln City's receiving many accolades in its own right, which is really nice. For example, Lincoln City Beach was just voted one of the top 10 in the country by TripAdvisor. This application requests that the R1 zone on the properties listed in the application be changed to the VR zone. I believe strongly that our properties clearly meet the intent of the VR zone as set out in the Ordinance 2014-21. Olivia Beach has been intended to offer vacation rentals since its creation. The CC&Rs are written to clearly state that vacation rentals are welcome, and many of the amenities built in the community had vacation rentals in mind. Vacation rentals are included in the master plan for the community. Currently, approximately 40% of the homes in Olivia Beach are vacation rentals. From my conversations and communications with the other lot owners, there's no particular plans to increase that amount. There's a really nice blend right now of full-time residents, weekenders, and people who rent out their homes as vacation rentals. I think it's important to note that 90% of the development's already built out, so there's not a huge opportunity for tons of people to rush in and build large commercial vacation rental properties. Currently, the biggest lot, as I understand it, that's left available is 4,400 square feet, so there's actually no ability to subdivide that lot, and a 4,400 square foot lot is not going to allow for a particularly large VR. In fact, my understanding from talking with Aaron Briggs and Walker John is that they're looking at 3-bedroom houses for the remainder of the development because of the lot size and the parking requirement. So it's not likely that there's going to be sort of huge mini hotels put up all over the place, thankfully. Olivia Beach goes... I think it's interesting that how much support this application has had. As mentioned, all the pink lots, their owners have signed on to be part of the application. The green lots I was not able to reach. 2 of those lots are currently on the market, and the other 2 I just could not get a hold of. So, and the other of the 6 additional lots, the 2 closest to the beach access and the 2 on the east side of beach have adopted the Olivia Beach CC&Rs, so we consider them to be part of Olivia Beach and they're subject to the same restrictions and covenants. The 2 additional lots were contiguous neighbours who asked to be added. There were actually several other neighbours who asked to be added to the application, and we felt after discussions with planning that it was best to keep this to only those 2 contiguous neighbours who wanted to be added to avoid creating too much of a fragmented situation. But I had absolutely no neighbours tell me they didn't want to be included, and in fact I had people saying please add me in. So it was very interesting, very interesting exercise. Olivia Beach goes above and beyond how it manages the vacation rentals in the community. There is a vacation rental property manager on site at Olivia Beach Cottage Rentals. They have employees that live on site. They actually live in the house next to ours, and they address any issues that come up. They also perform actual check-ins at the commercial site in Nelscott, which is right by the 32nd Ave light. So that's kind of a unique opportunity to let people see this is the best way to get onto 101. Very few people ever use Bard Road, myself included, because it's a pretty fast way to get chips on your car and dirt all over your car. So we are very excited about the light at 32nd. Olivia Beach is in very close proximity to the beach, which of course is the main attraction. It's won a lot of awards. The developers spent an absolute fortune putting the beach stairs in. As you can see, there's an awful lot of stairs there, approximately $1 million. And now the beach access stairs, now that the development's changed over to the HOA pay to maintain and keep those stairs clean and safe for everybody. And it's available for the public, and a lot of members of the public use it. The goal in developing Olivia Beach was walkability. So we wanted homeowners, guests, everyone to be able to walk to the beach and not be driving to nearby beach accesses and clogging them up, because as you know that's a big issue, particularly in the summer. There's also a big emphasis on providing amenities on site, so people have less reason to leave. For example, the swimming pool, the volleyball court, the fire pit that's there, so really trying to keep people on site. The developer also provided people with 2 bikes when they bought their houses, so really encouraging people to bike. One of the reasons I noted the comment about the roads being narrow is to encourage walking. So access to most of the houses is through a rear alley, and that's where the parking and the garages are, and it really encourages that front porch sitting and talking to your neighbours kind of community. All the amenities except the swimming pool and workout room are accessible and used by the public. We see tons of people at the park all the time with their kids. There's a great play structure there. I have little kids, so we tend to hang out there at the park, and it is great to see all the community using it. Those type of pocket parks, as we're talking about on Friday and Saturday, are just a great addition to the neighbourhood because people don't have to haul their kids into the car to take them to go play on a swing for 5 minutes. So the amenities attract a lot of families to Olivia Beach. The type of guests that come to the vacation rentals tend to be families. The family-friendly amenities tend to create that. The noise ordinances that are in place also, discourage people from coming to Olivia Beach to party. It's certainly not Daytona Beach at spring break. So with the 7 to 7 noise restriction, it kind of keeps those types of people away, which is nice. It's been featured in HGTV. It's been featured in Sunset Magazine as being a really family-friendly destination. Should guests ever need to leave because they've got to eat, then a lot of people go to the nearby stores, which reduces load on the roads. So we have a lot of people who walk to the restaurants in Nelscott. There's a lot of great choices there, and more have opened in the last year, which is nice. And of course you've got the bookstore and theatre. And of course, as we've just seen, the Nelscott Gap plan is going to put a lot of great, mixed use, including commercial and new residential, very close within walking distance, which is going to improve still further the walkability at Olivia Beach. And we are very excited to have the access to Agnes Creek through the new Phase 3 access. Agnes Creek is gorgeous hiking, so we're really excited to be able to walk through there. The Olivia Beach is now managed by the homeowners through the Homeowners Association, so it's kind of a unique situation in that the HOA provides an enforcement mechanism to ensure that all owners, whether they're renting their house or not, take care of all the issues that commonly come up with vacation rentals, including exterior and landscape maintenance, parking, noise and trash management. And they do this because I had a letter about my lawn, so they really do follow up with you. The relative youth of the development ensures that all vacation rental properties meet health and safety standards, so it ensures a safe and enjoyable vacation for guests, which is a priority for any city. Olivia Beach is the perfect candidate for the new VR zone, as laid out in the new ordinance. It facilitates lodging alternatives for vacationers in areas of close proximity to the community attractions and recreation uses, including, as I mentioned, the beach, Agnes Creek, the Olivia Beach amenities, the Nelscott shops, and of course the proposed additions to the Nelscott neighbourhood laid out in the Nelscott Gap plan. Olivia Beach provides a location for family vacation use in a mixed-use setting, which is less commercial than a recreational commercial zone, but which has sufficient sized public facilities and services to accommodate the potential intensity of a vacation rental use. Olivia Beach also includes a mix of permanent residents and weekenders consistent with the VR zone's residential use. Currently, approximately 60% of the homes are permanent or weekenders, and approximately 40% are VRDs. And approximately 90% of the development is built out, so there's about 10% of the lots left. Sorry.
I was just going to ask you to repeat those percentages again, because I got the 40%, which are VRDs.
And 60% are permanent or weekenders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And like I said, from my conversations with other owners, there wasn't anyone who said, oh yay, I'm going to change to a vacation rental now, which was interesting. Olivia Beach is a discrete geographic area where tourist accommodations don't or are less likely to disrupt established residential neighbourhoods. It's been operating with approximately 40% vacation rentals since it was developed, with very few problems, in fact none that I'm aware of. Not only is Olivia Beach in close proximity to the community attractions, it's actually added to the community's attractions by providing a lot of amenities and continuing to pay to maintain those, including the playground and volleyball court. And of course, Phase 3 at Olivia Beach received council approval for a zone change on 7/28/15. In summary, Olivia Beach has been designed to support vacation rentals. It's written in the approved master plan as well as the CC&Rs. Homeowners have the option of using a professionally managed vacation rental program. They've been operating in Olivia Beach with very few issues since 2007. Before Olivia Beach was constructed, the intention to offer Olivia Beach cottages as vacation rentals was discussed by the developer with the Nelscott neighbours at the community meetings, and Olivia Beach has been included in every yes map since the vacation rental debate started in 2009. I believe Olivia Beach has been developed and continues to be managed in a way that best fits the Nelscott community and the greater Lincoln City community by concentrating vacation rentals in a suitable area, thus preserving other more suitably residential neighbourhoods and avoiding tourist accommodations disrupting established residential neighbourhoods. I believe that the neighbourhood, with the numerous amenities and the public beach access, creates an ideal location for the application of the VR zone here at Phase 1 and 2. I had a couple of other comments that came up. The lot size I talked about. I talked about that. Okay, I've added lots of scribbly notes, so excuse me while I just quickly review these. So the 6 additional lots are contiguous, and as I mentioned, this, do I have a pointer? The one on the bottom on 28th, that is actually under construction by the Olivia Beach Construction Company in a way that is very consistent with the neighbourhood. So that's one of the reasons that was included. And as you can see here, these other ones are contiguous or have adopted the CC&Rs. So I am happy to answer any questions.
Questions, please. Shoot.
First of all, are you responsible for writing the application and the narrative to go with it?
Yes.
Nicely done.
Thank you very much.
Girl.
In a past life, I was a lawyer.
I'm
a
sorry.
recovering lawyer.
It's very, very nicely done and organized, and anyway, I appreciated it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about, did I understand you right that you have one management company for the area for both Phase 1 and 2?
So there's Olivia Beach Cottage Rentals is a separate company that owners have the option to use. There's currently 2 other vacation rental companies that do have, well, one other. Vicasa has, I think, 6, maybe 4 vacation rentals that they manage within Olivia Beach, and then several homeowners manage their own.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's an option for people.
Okay. I was going to say that would be, for me, with a VR zone, and there was one management company, that would be a model. I think would be good to keep everything,
Yeah, you couldn't force people to use one company because that would be anti-competitive, but the vast majority of owners do use Olivia Beach Cottage Rentals. I personally manage my own because I'm totally type A.
Really?
Yes, can't you tell? And we live close by, so that makes it easier.
And my last comment is just a suggestion to your HOA that, and I've been saying this to everybody, so it won't be a surprise, but I would, I'm on a mission, but I would encourage your HOA to consider having and providing go kits for all of the VRD visitors in case of the...
Like bug-out bags?
Bug-out kits.
Yeah, that's actually a conversation that we were just having last weekend, so that's interesting. Yeah, not at the HOA level, but a couple of owners. We were talking about that, making sure we had enough water and things. And I've had a couple of conversations with Timothy about different safety options. For example, I think there should be child-proof locks on the windows because, I have little kids and a lot of our guests have little kids, and it's not a requirement right now, but it would make sense to me because they're really cheap to get and easy to install. So I think the bug-out bags or, at least, say, 3 days emergency supplies would be a good thing to have. Yeah, for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Further questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I also, we're coming to testimony and support, which you have also signed up for. Did you have more to say?
I support me.
Good for you. Testimony in opposition to the application. Seeing none. Others, including any testimony from representatives of public agencies. None. Rebuttal by the applicant, not relevant. ORS Section 197-763, paragraph 6A states that upon request, the commission must either grant a continuance for no less than 7 days or hold the record open for no less than 7 days to permit any participant an opportunity to provide additional testimony, argument, or evidence. Does any person who participated desire to request a continuance to provide additional testimony, argument, or evidence, or request that the record be left open to submit additional written testimony, argument, or evidence? None. Does the applicant waive the opportunity to submit? Excuse me, before we go on, Richard, Eric, Mr. Apicello, sir, at the beginning of the testimony mentioned delivering some updated version of a submission. Yes, is that appropriate or even legal if we close the record?
You've had no request to leave the record open. You haven't actually closed the hearing or the record.
Right, I know we haven't yet. I wanted to know about this request to add additional, apparently, testimony.
I just wanted to match my notes to what I actually spoke about because I added the
Okay.
Come to the microphone, please.
So if that constitutes a request to leave the record open, then you're not going to be deliberating and voting this evening.
So if I've made the comments orally, that's part of the record, right? So that would be sufficient. So that's fine.
That's correct?
I'm not requesting
Yes.
that to be held open.
Okay, thank you.
So you would need a motion to close the hearing and close the record if you're going to do that.
Does the applicant waive the opportunity to submit final written argument after the close of the record is provided by ORS Section 197-763, paragraph 6E?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay. I think it would be appropriate to make a motion to close the hearing and close the record.
Ask attorney, have any comments concerning legal issues?
Someone needs to make a motion to close the hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing and close the record.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now, does the city attorney or staff?
I don't have anything to say. Well, one thing to say. The only troubling part of the application is the no consent provisions up there. Your code requires that people that apply for rezoning actually consent or are the owners or have the written consent of the owners to effectuate the amendment. Otherwise, it has to be a city-initiated. The city can initiate a rezoning of someone's property, but you don't rezone other people's property without their consent. So that's the only troubling part, is that there's some colors up there that obviously doesn't reflect unanimity.
We aren't going to zone those VR. I wouldn't. Well, this is part of deliberations, but I wouldn't expect to.
Yeah, my advice
without
is
response.
Don't have the consent. You can't take action. Now there is a chance that before the city council gets this, because you're making a recommendation, that those people will come forward and enter into the record that they have consent. But
thank you. So this matter is returned to the table for deliberation and recommendation. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start your engines. Yes.
All right. I just have some comments, mostly to us, about the comprehensive plan goals. As far as the housing goal is concerned, I wasn't so sure that people would elect to buy a house and live in it full-time within a VR zone. So 100% in agreement with that. However, Erica did mention that she has a good percentage of full-time home owners that live there. So, but that's just kind of an overarching concern I have for that housing goal, is that we consider that it may or may not be a good thing to do. And I also have some concern over goal number 7, the economic goal. And this is more just for future discussion, I think, but I'm just curious how many, I guess it boils down to not just VRDs, but housing, hotels and motel rooms, how many do we need to support the tourism? And I just want to see some balance again, and I suppose maybe we'll get this with a comprehensive plan, but I just almost need a little more information there. And goal number 8, the aesthetic goal, I also am not sure that is necessarily met. It is for this particular request, but if in fact the zone does change to a VR zone, then the houses can turn into mega houses, and just by the zoning language being commercial. And I'm not sure that wouldn't impact the livability of and the aesthetics of an existing neighborhood or area that has residential only as like full-time residents would experience.
Do you remember the percentage of houses that are already built in that zone?
90%.
90%? So the problem space you're talking about would be the 10% remaining.
Yeah, or, if someone had enough money, you could
tear it down
lots and ask for plat adjustments. And there's, this is bigger questions, I guess I'm asking than specific to this one, because they, as described, this area was built for this very purpose. But I just want to think a little bit about how this really does apply into the neighborhoods. And also the goal number 9, the transportation goal. And I just would like to say that I think that there will be more transportation trips. When you visit an area, you want to get out and see it. So I think there's going to be more and additional trips than just if it was just a family residential house rather than a VRD. So I think that would increase too. But like Richard says, Townsend, we just don't have the studies to inform us about that. So I don't know. And then, so I think overall those are my comments. I do have some comments about the mapping when you want to get to that.
Any other comments?
I also have issues with the goal number 6, to provide housing for all citizens. Looking online to houses for rent for local citizens, I went to 4 different websites and came with 17 houses. I then went to 5 different VRD websites and came up with 461 houses. I don't feel that that's balanced in any regard. I don't feel comfortable approving more VRDs for the city when there aren't many houses for residents to rent. And VRD houses are not eligible for long-term rentals. And I don't feel that suits the needs for all of our citizens. I hear Olivia Beach being talked about as Olivia Beach and not part of Lincoln City necessarily. I think that it's a separate entity. They've described it as being a separate thing. When Walker John was here with Phase 3, he talked about the closeness of the houses were so that it built community and it kind of put you in a position to talk to your neighbor. And now it was now it's intended to be a VRD all along, where it seemed like he was like, look at this, it's built for community, and now, well, look at this, it's built for VRD. And so I feel that was a little not when he...
Bait and switch?
It felt like that to me a little bit, I have to say that, when he came up here and talked about it. So specifically asking about the closeness of the houses and things. And, she clearly said that from the beginning it was intended to be a VRD all along. I also feel that the transportation would be an issue. And now you have this community of VRD, would possibly be, what would be negative, if it was, I know they have a noise ordinance from 7 to 7 and that, but how many times, do the issues, who monitors that? Does it go to the rental office first? Do they call the police first? I mean, if it's set up to be like that, I don't know. But it's 27 times more VRDs than houses for rent. 27 times. It's a lot.
We've had a little bit of a introduction of new evidence as part of the discussion. So to make sure we don't have any procedural error, your statements about what you looked up online and your conclusions about that, we need to ask the applicant if they would like to rebut those statements which you've disclosed. If they don't wish to, they don't have to, but if just because it's technically ex parte, it's information you received outside of the hearing room. This is the danger with the internet nowadays. So if you do your own research, you got to make sure you put that research into the record.
Okay.
Give it to the planning department.
Okay.
So does the applicant have want to make any rebuttal of the statements that were made?
Do we have to reopen the hearing for this?
Yes, I'm afraid so. You got the gavel up there. You can make it happen.
We're going to reopen the hearing.
To accept this one comment?
Yes. It's a public comment.
The method under Oregon law to cure what is known as an ex parte contact is to state the substance of the information, you've just heard that, and then announce that any party may wish to rebut that evidence.
Ms. Jigsaw?
Yes, this is Erica Yigzau. I appreciate that comment. I feel that if you were going to look at how this would impact the availability of long-term rentals for Lincoln City residents, that you'd need to look at the specific instance in Olivia Beach. Olivia Beach is a part of Lincoln City. It has been. It's sitting smack bang right there. There's no suggestion that it's a separate entity. It's a PUD, so it's a separately zoned situation. I think if you wanted to create some valid statistics, that you would need to talk to existing Olivia Beach owners about whether, if a VR zone was not available to them, that they would make their property available for long-term rental. And from all the owners I talked to, that was not the situation in one instance. Because even with the VR zone, most people are still going to be using their properties. They're just not going to be having headaches about whether they're hitting some 90-day accessory use or 180-day accessory use or whatever that use might be, depending on whoever decides what that day limit is. But it's not that they would otherwise not use their house at all and rent it out long term. So I just don't think those are valid statistics. I do recognise it's a big problem, and it was something that was talked about a lot at the workshop on Friday. And one of the benefits of the Now Scott Gap plan is to provide affordable housing. So I do think that is a very valid comment. I just don't know that it's applicable to this particular application, with all due respect.
That's okay. Thanks.
Further questions on this?
No,
I didn't attend the workshop on Friday, and I don't know if that information has been entered into the record, but can you want to discuss what was discussed?
Could I just say maybe we can talk about that after the hearing, because I'm not sure it's...
That's new information, right? And I'm rebutting a particular comment.
Yeah.
Would have to rebut the rebuttal.
That would get complicated.
I didn't open up the can of worms.
But I'd be happy to chat with you afterwards. It was fantastic. It was really good, and it got a lot of,
Thank you.
I won't talk about it now, but I'd be happy to talk with you after.
So can I make a motion to close the public hearing yet?
Not yet. I think we backed up. We have to back up to paragraph 15 now. Upon request, the commission must either grant
I don't know that anyone's requesting a continuance or to leave the record open, so I think you can close the hearing in the record.
Unless anybody's going to offer additional ex parte communication.
I didn't know.
I'll make a motion to close the public record and public hearing.
Second? Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Any more comments from city attorney or staff? Okay.
No, well, only that you are doing the right thing and looking at the comprehensive plan policies and the statewide planning goals in reviewing this application. So that is the appropriate analysis.
So we are in deliberations still. Any comments?
Mr. Chair, I'll outline some concerns.
Please.
From what I understand, they still have the availability to use these houses as accessory uses for vacation rentals. So that gives them the 180 days or whatever day amount we have out there, but that's still available to them. I'm concerned about that, and I'm concerned about what's going to be taking place at the other end of town when we open up all those properties for development, around the Cascade Head area. And then the situation, with affordability in this town is horrendous. Most of the people in this town have basically being paid on minimum wage, and we already have families that share, 10 or 11 people to get into one house so they can definitely have a place to work from. And I'm concerned about that problem with it. So those are just some of the concerns I have with this project. I think they have other roads they can travel down, and maybe this isn't the right time for them. I know we have issues now in the city with the regulations that we have in place with the VRDs, and that might have an overlapping effect with this type of decision. So I'm just, I'm open to thoughts, but I think there's some pitfalls out there we have to be aware of.
Reactions?
I do believe this is actually built for VRDs, as originally always was once it got there. It's not even built for single resident families, really. It's not the style. It's not the affordability. We already approved Phase 3 for a VR zone. So why would we approve that, but then turn around and say no to 1 and 2?
Well, I think we can do that just because we have the opportunity to do so, and that there are questions out there presently with what our VRD rules are going to be, let alone the 600 some odd houses that are going to go up in the north end area. So I think that all has to be measured in and considered.
Well, I think the VR, it's going to be a base-by-case basis when they come up. So the north area comes up. If it doesn't fit the criteria for that area, then we don't have to give it the VR zone.
Well, they already have the availability to rent the houses.
Right, 180 days.
Yeah. And if you oversaturate the market with VRDs, then nobody's going to get their share.
I'm sorry, could you elaborate on that, please?
Well,
the oversaturation.
If you do away with the 180 days and you open up everybody to 360 days a year, you change all the rules that are in place now, that'll mean you'll have, well, I don't know how many VRDs we have, but exponentially, we're never going to get that many people in this town at one time.
What rules does it change?
I'm talking about the 180 days. Right now, they have the availability for the 180 days.
You're saying it changes all the rules.
They go into the VRD format, then they have the accessibility to do it 360 days, right?
Right.
Okay. If they do it 360 days, we've got how many housing units in here? 25, 30, something like that? So you put those into the pool of availability of existing VRD homes. That's going to cause more pressure on the system. So I'm uncomfortable with that. I think everybody should have a fair share. They have a fair share now with the accessory use.
Actually, 103.
103
lots.
units? Yeah, okay. Well, that's what they're asking for.
Can I just interrupt a second? I hear the comments, and I think that it would be helpful if we can understand that what you're really talking about is the compliance of the application with the comprehensive plan and housing goal, and the requirement to balance. The fact of the matter is that the housing goal and the statewide planning goals, the housing goals, require you to look at the availability of other housing types. And so what you're expressing is essentially that this application may reduce the available residential housing because it's basically devoting it entirely to vacation rental. It is the comment about accessory use isn't actually accurate in the sense that once it is rezoned to VR, these 103 properties will no longer be subject to the accessory use limitation. That is solely applicable to residential property. This will no longer be residential, be considered mixed use. But they could, because they have no limitation, they could rent once in a while as if it was accessory. So they have essentially no limitation, but they're also not prohibited from renting it as if it was accessory. So it's not necessarily the case that all of these units would be rented full-time VRDs.
The assumption that it's going to go from 180 to 365 is relatively invalid because there's no reason it has to. No rule that says it's required to. You're going from saying because they can,
sure,
they will.
You don't have to have a rule that says you have to rent 360 days out of the year. But
that's what you're
having that many additional houses that have that opportunity to do that, I believe puts more pressure on the existing homes that are in here. And then going back to my other criteria, that I was concerned about the accessibility for affordable living for other people by not making them a VRD zone, that we would, in essence, according to everybody's thinking, I believe, that would make the value of that property less, which would make it more affordable for other people to buy. And they still have the accessibility used for 180 days. If they want to take a vacation, not use the house for 90 days, they can rent it out to somebody for 90 days as a VRD.
Could I clarify? What you're saying is, this might be a cartoon-like, what you're saying is that we might want to not let them do VRDs in order to suppress the value of the homes so that other people can afford them?
No, I'm looking at the overall situation. We've got X amount of land that we can build on here in the city. We don't have much commercial area to have commercial businesses. We are a tourist town. We are a destination point. We do have a lot of people in this town, probably 4,000 people that work here that get minimum wage. And having them to have an opportunity to rent a house that has a reasonable amount of rent to it, I think is a criteria that we have to be looking at. And giving them the opportunity, if they can put all their family money together and buy a house, I think we have to consider that as part of an opportunity. We're not looking for the citizens that work here and live here.
You're basically objecting to the staff report's conclusion that the housing goals are being met here.
Correct.
Thank you. Your thoughts on that issue?
I'm in agreement with my fellow commissioner on what he's saying, that we do need to have affordable housing for those people who are working in this community, and a miserable job of encouraging affordable housing. But I don't necessarily agree that Olivia Beach type housing is ever going to be affordable for minimum wage type workers. And what we failed to do is have apartments and have a housing available. failed to encourage high density. We failed that miserably, or as a unit for years. I don't want to ex parte, but a real need.
That's opinion, not evidence.
Okay, I can give you evidence, but I don't want to because that's ex parte.
We already did that.
We've done that already. Yes, we are in trouble. I don't necessarily think that this is the kind of location that's going to help that situation.
Well, that's what I was thinking, for one. I mean, you were talking north. I mean, north can be built up to more affordable homes. But the location like Olivia Beach is right. There's no way somebody on minimum wage, even 3 people on minimum wage, could afford the rent that's going on these days. You know, $1,500 a month rent.
Unless they build a different type of structure, they haven't got all the...
But it's pretty much built, only 10% left.
In phase...
90% built out.
That's in phase...
1 and 2.
Right.
So we're
not
talking
for the
about
new property they have on the market.
But we already put that in VRD. So that's already in zone VRD.
What's that one?
That's what I'm saying. Phase 3, the one that's not built, is already VRD. Phase 1 and 2, that's 90% built. That's what they're asking for.
Okay, I understand.
And what I'm saying, though, about the north, we definitely need affordable housing. We need to do something about that. I mean, the north could be a good place for that.
Well, then I stimulated the discussion.
I'd still like to see this included in the comprehensive plan. We need some targets here. We're struggling. We don't know how many VRDs we need to support the tourist industry. We don't know how many, we might have an idea of how many affordable houses and apartments we need. But we're having a difficult time up here with this, and we could really use that comprehensive plan, hoping that provides us some way to think about these requests. Right now, they're just popping up, and we don't have anything to rely on.
It would be a good piece of information to have if we could get this from staff over the...
You're talking about the housing inventory and what's
needs
needed.
and inventory for the...
Maybe a little bit about traffic generation. I heard that as well, associated with this.
Does the TRT tax allow us to know occupancy rates?
No. The information that's collected is just receipts, it's not the number of nights that are occupied.
Compared to the number of available rooms.
Hold on, one meeting.
You just can't make any correlations at all.
But for tonight, the record is closed, the hearing is closed. You don't have any of that additional information you're thinking about. So you have to make a decision based upon what you have or recommendations, because this is a recommendation.
This is just a couple of pieces of information that we've asked for in the past, and would like to just add another little tick mark of emphasis on it. Further discussion?
There's a little thought, since 90% is already built to a VRD style. But anyway, the ones that are allowed only 180 days, they spent most of their days in the summer, and then they can't rent anymore. So if you have certain areas of VRDs that can do 365 days a year, at least for the winter time, we could hopefully keep the businesses going a little better, so people who work here can actually make a little more money. Because it's usually winter time that's the huge struggle. So many people get laid off, business hours get shorter. I mean, that's also another criteria to think about on the positive side.
Okay.
I was just going to ask if we had more comments. Go right ahead.
Okay, the map is up there. So we have a request. All of the pink and the yellow won't be included if we move forward with this. And then the darker, I don't know if that's blue or dark purple, on the outskirts. And my thinking is that the ones to the west make sense because if I understand it right, the pathway to the beach is between those properties, and the one to the south and to the east, I would not agree with. I would not include, is what I mean.
Well, I know the ones on the east, I mean, they're basically the same style as Olivia Beach, built the same way.
What was the other consents? Were those the individuals who have applied to their CCNR?
I believe Erica said the ones to the west have CCNRs. If I heard right, and the one to the south and the one to the east did not, they might be built similar and maybe by the same builder, but as far as contiguous and all that, they might be close, but if you just look at that map, they just stand out to me, and I would not include them.
Those also are, they've asked to be included in, instead of them applying separately later on and sort of a little cluster here and there.
Where is the boundary of Olivia Beach on this map? Is it the dotted yellow, orange line? Is that the PUD?
I think back
Approving a PUD amendment? Are we approving
I thought we were approving
for
the
the
VRD.
specifically VR zone for those lots? Are we asking are we going to change the PUD, which is that everything in the dotted orange?
the PUD is not changing, it's a zone change, and Olivia Beach is all the pink.
Change for 1 and 2.
For the lot. It's a zone change for the lots they're asking that, I think it's going to be written consent.
Right.
So then,
Right, it's just going to be written consent.
so then the other consents and the no consents would not be included to the VR zone.
I think this one works. So, what I understand is that if those green ones, which there's 4 green ones, if they don't get consents from them, they would not be able to be included. The pink ones, the applicant does have consents from, as well as the purple ones the applicant has consents from.
Are the lots, the 10% of the lots included in the pink?
The unbuilt?
I don't know. I don't know.
We're approving 10% of lots,
I believe they are.
no housing, to be included into the VR zone.
Yes. There are 10% of these properties that are not constructed. Now, my understanding is the 2 purple lots on the left side do not have consents, or not, they have consent to be part of this application, but they haven't agreed to the CCNRs. They have.
They have.
And the 10 undeveloped lots have
Okay, so all the lots, the 10 undeveloped lots have all agreed to the CCNRs, and this is apparently already in the record.
I'm of the opinion to accept the thing as requested and pass it on to the city council with a recommendation that they also include those 4 lots in the VR zone if those property owners request it between now and the city council's hearing.
Otherwise?
Excuse me?
And to be
And to be excluded otherwise, yes. We don't want to force them into the VR zone if they don't want to be in it, or if they haven't had an opportunity. That's one person's opinion.
Well, we have had comments from residents in the area about their objections for this being made a VRD.
I think there's one.
We haven't had anything tonight, and you have to go on the record that was developed.
Well, there
tonight.
was, I read a letter that was sent
There's
out.
one letter that was sent in.
Yeah, we do have.
Okay, if it's in the record, then.
Yeah, there's one letter in the record.
And basically, there are no other houses that are relatively close to that area that would have a way to object. They're not built yet. So, I mean, there's property there. I know it borders up to Agnes Creek, and I know the one property that, made the request that we not put it in a VRD zone.
We're only talking about this application, though.
Correct. And there was a letter sent by this property owner that is close to this location, and obviously it's...
Well, we have one letter.
Right. There's only one house that's not a VR.
97 requests to be in the VR zone.
Right.
Against the one that doesn't want that to happen.
Right. But there are no other houses that are not already included in the VRD that are, how do I say this? So there's one house that's in an R1 zone now that wants it to remain an R1 zone with accessibility use. The other people, the 97 you're talking about, are already in a VR zone. No?
I'm talking about the pink guys.
Isn't that Olivia?
I'm talking about the pink guys up there, the 97 homes that have asked to be in the VR zone.
Are those houses that are all built?
90% of them.
Well, that's down in, okay, so that's down in the mall, but those are all VRD zoned houses.
This is what we're addressing, is the pink guys.
I really appreciate my members for educating me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That does edify me. Yeah, thank you.
Good, okay.
I'd like to make a recommendation that we accept this as written with the exception of the 4 green houses being left out if we do not receive a desire by them before the city council meeting.
Well, make a suggestion of wording.
Sure.
Make a recommendation to the city council to all lots that have a written consents for approval to a VR zone.
And that's a motion.
That's a motion.
I'll second the motion.
You're recommending the city council approve this and with any additional consents that are received.
With all written consent. Sorry.
Is that wording provisional consents on the 4? What did I hear you say?
No, I
think you said additional.
Written consents or additional consents.
Okay. We have a second. Did we have a second?
I did second it.
Okay. I think we would make a roll call for this.
Long,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Hoagland,
No.
Hinton,
No.
Bryson,
Yes.
and Robinson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. This matter is scheduled for a public hearing at the City Council on Monday, November 9th, 2015 at 6 p.m. Could I have a reason for the no votes, please?
I don't feel it makes the Lincoln City Comprehensive Plan Goal number 6 and number 9.
I would agree with that. I don't think it meets the goals. And in addition, I don't approve the one to the south and the one to the east.
Thank you. Old business?
None?
New business?
I have none.
Reports and comments, Community Director, Development Director?
I'm going to defer my comments to Ms. Martson here.
Ms. Martson?
Nicholson.
Ms. Nicholson, I'm so sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
Ms. Nicholson, Martson?
I do have a couple things. I, first of all, would like to say, after this discussion, that last week, the City Planning Department submitted an application for funds to prepare a new economic opportunity analysis and buildable lands assessment. This will be part of our comprehensive plan either way, but we have an opportunity to get some financial help from the Department of Land Conservation and Development. So we will be waiting to hear about that and keep you informed. I want to mention that the thinning project in Spyglass Ridge starts this week. So everyone should be aware if there's, especially the neighbors, if we have more trucks in their neighborhood. This is a condoned activity by the city. The city council held a public hearing about that recently and approved the thinning. This will be completed within the month, and at the end of the thinning project, the forest will be healthier. We will have trails that are improved or new trails through the Spyglass open space. So that should be pretty exciting. I know people have been very happy with the way the Agnes Creek open space turned out.
Thank you.
Yes, well, one more thing. No, I want to give an update on our, last week we had Design Week for the Nell Scott Neighborhood Refinement Plan. And we also used the opportunity to have the first workshops for our comprehensive plan process. We had 2 open houses for Nell Scott. We had a planning commission and city council briefing. Several of you were there. I apologize because it took place during working hours, and I know a couple of you were not able to make it. We hope to avoid that in the future. We had a staff training for 14 of the city staff with James Rojas, who is an award-winning city planner from the Los Angeles area. He was here to help us reach out to populations who don't normally come to our meetings or fill out our surveys. And he worked with a hands-on activity to draw out people about their favorite childhood memories, and then to work in teams to create their ideal Lincoln City. That was one of the meetings that Erica mentioned. She attended one on Friday evening. We had about 12 people at that one. We had 36 earlier in the afternoon from 3 to 5, and a nice mix of all ages. We also had, besides James Rojas, who is Latino, we had 2 of his acquaintances and colleagues from University of Oregon and one from Portland State who joined us. We had a workshop with Latinos on Saturday morning at La Roca, and I would say we probably had about 10 to 12 people there. Again, a variety of ages. And we got a lot of comments, very interesting ideas for the future of Lincoln City and the future of Nell Scott. We had a workshop with 49 students at the high school, and we did the same kind of exercise there. James Rojas brings a great big bag of found objects, which include things like hair rollers, hair curlers, and Easter eggs and pipe cleaners, and he asks people to create their memories or their visions for the future with these found objects. It's a great way to start the conversation, and then we use follow-up questions to get more detail about what people really were looking for. Let's see, what else did we have? We had an open design studio, and that was really quite exciting. We had Lawrence Kamar, who is our architect planner, who is working on the Nell Scott project in a space owned by Ron Rubin. He loaned us this space for the week so that we could be right in the heart of Nell Scott. We invited property owners and area residents and the general public to come, and we had quite a few property owners, 3 of the largest owners of the largest tracts of land, worked with Lawrence quite well during over the days, and as a result, we produced a very nice full-color rendition of what could happen in the Nell Scott area. It's not quite complete, and we're still open to comments. In fact, on our website, nellscottplan.com, our consultants will be putting up, both an image of this plan and also a Survey Monkey, so that people can go, if they didn't make it last week, or even if they did, they may still have comments about the plan that resulted and was shown to the public event on Saturday. So please check that out. It isn't up quite yet. It will be up probably tomorrow or by the end of the week, certainly. So we'd like to hear from you. I'd also like to thank Kate Daschel, who did a tremendous amount of work last week in organizing this and promoting the Design Week and taking care of a lot of details. I just want to do a call out to the News Guard and KCBH. They helped us with our publicity and also reported on the events, and maybe we'll still have more of that to come. I believe that's all, except, one more, David Hilton from ODOT. He is our project manager. ODOT funded the Nell Scott Gap Refinement Plan, and David was here all week long, and before he left on Saturday, he said, and he sees a lot of these kinds of activities in Design Weeks, he thought this was the best Design Week ever. So I think we can pat ourselves on the back for that.
Well, I wanted to offer my congratulations to all of you, all of the staff. It was a terrific week, and the joint meeting with the City Council, that was a bang-up presentation as well. Thank you very much.
Great, and we want to thank all our public for coming out, too.
All right, reports and comments from the City Attorney. Planning Commissioners. And now we're at public comments on non-agenda items not involving a public hearing. All right, future agenda items and next meetings. The next scheduled meeting is Thursday, October 20th, 2015 at 6 p.m.
We have nothing on that agenda, and actually we ask that you cancel that meeting and have the next meeting be on November 3rd.
Well, I'd be glad to do that. Normally you do that, however.
Well,
but yes, that's fine.
You need to go along with it. So
I'm good with it. All right. Before we adjourn, I would like to request a 5-minute break between the meetings.
Yeah.
Okay. Karen.
All right. I'm now opening the meeting for the Vacation Rental Dwelling License Appeals Board. It is now 7:42, October 6th. Roll call, please.
Gary Cunningham.
here.
Deanna Hinton.
Here.
Ethan Long.
Here.
Bruce Robinson.
Here.
Riley Hoagland.
Here.
Doug Bryson.
Here.
Steve Griffiths is absent.
All right, thank you. Now looking for approval of the minutes on August 11th, 2015.
Mr. Chair, I have one correction to make on those. Commissioner Hinton had a comment on page 3 on the third paragraph where there was a question from the applicant's attorney regarding where her property was located and asking if she had any conflicts, and she asked that that sentence be modified slightly. So here is the suggested new language. This would be the third sentence in the third paragraph on page 3. So the suggested new sentence would say, before beginning his testimony, Mr. Alterman noted that Ms. Hinton's property is within 250 feet of the Emerald Cove property and asked if Ms. Hinton has any conflict or observations. Chair Long asked, and Ms. Hinton indicated that she had no conflict. And that was a suggested correction from Deanna Hinton.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear approval or motion to approve the minutes as changed?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as changed.
Second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And I have to abstain. I wasn't at the meeting.
All right, it's time for adoption. Final order, vacation rental dwellings license appeal. File APP 2015-03, Emerald Cove LLC, and file APP 015-4, Mark Young and Suzanne Young. The VRD License Appeals Board is about to vote on a final order regarding the appeals heard on August 11, 2015. The appeals were regarding decisions of Planning Director approving license renewals for 2 vacation rental dwellings, with a condition limiting the number of bedrooms made available to renters to no more than 5. The appellant and property owner for Appeal 2015-3 is Emerald Cove LLC for the residence at 1830 Northeast 66th Street. The appellants and property owners for Appeal 2015-04 are Suzanne Young and Mark Young for the residence at 5778 Northwest Jetty Avenue. The final order is a written record of the board's decision that followed its public hearing, deliberations, and tentative oral decision made on August 11, 2015. The board's decision is to deny the appeals. The vote on a final order is not meant to be a second vote on the subject of the hearing. If the final order accurately reflects the findings of the majority and the decision, board members should approve it. Is there a motion to adopt Final Order 2015-01 for consolidation appeals 2015-03 and 2015-04?
I so move.
Second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
And again, I abstain, I wasn't there.
The board's decision shall be final on the date of mailing the final order to the appellants. The board's decision is the final decision of the city and is appealable only by written or right or review to circuit court. Is there any other matters? Seeing none? Adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you both. And all.
Hey. Don't unplug me.
Appreciate that.
Oh, that wasn't so long.
Good timing.
Lovely day.